Welcome to Network Spotlight. I am your host, Mikhail. On today's show, I will be talking to Calum of Mozaic Finance, which is a yield aggregator utilizing LayerZero technology. It helps find the best yield. It takes out the manual component of the entire process. So it made for a very interesting conversation. I think you'll enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel, support the show, and enjoy. Been up to so far? I know we've talked a little bit about Mosaic Finance, but just for those that are listening, like what exactly is Mosaic Finance?
Yep. So Mosaic Finance is a omni-chain DeFi protocol that empowers the users to pretty much automate yield farming, and we do that through a simple interface. The way we do that is we use AI to govern our vaults. So normally you'd have your yield aggregator sites, and you'll just go through the different options, find out what gets you the best return, and manually enter those vaults. But what we do is we eliminate that whole process by just having the one vault for that specific category. For instance, there could be a stablecoin vault. That's going to be our MVP. And instead of having like six different pools on an aggregator site, it's just going to be the one. You deposit into that, and then our algo determines the correct weighting across all layer zero compatible chains. I think we're going to start on the EVM7 main 7 first, but then after that, we'll be looking to integrate with the likes of like Aptos, Sui, and then any other blockchains as well.
So, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is yield aggregating is a manual process. It's something that the trader needs to manually do, and you have technology or develop technology that automatically helps find the best yields for an investor.
Yeah, so we are using what we call Archimedes, and what that is it considers price, APY, TVL, price impact, time being sent between chains, and then all the other fees. It calculates all that together, and we call that the confidence metric. Um, and say if it's 70% confident, we can earn more on another protocol, and then we can send 70% of that liquidity over there. Um, and then, so in the end of the day, we could have 70% here, 20% over here, 10% over there. It's all governed through the algo with zero interference from the team. And that's pretty critical in today's environment as well, because you see all these catalyst events, FTX being the recent one. A lot of those are human intervention through greed, essentially. So we pretty much want a product that eliminates this process and truly to just be truly governed through AI.
I'm just curious to know if there's a lot of other yield aggregators that are doing something similar or trying to do something similar, in terms of creating an AI solution that helps to automate this process and helps find the best yield. Or is this very, very new technology? I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
much of a, I'm not I wouldn't call myself a DeFi expert, so I'm just trying to learn. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. So there's no yield aggregators currently using AI to govern their strategies. Um, it's mainly because it's pretty hard to do to get the data to train the algos themselves. At the moment, there's only a few that have historic data for this, and it only dates back to like 3 months, and it's only down to like an hourly time frame. What we're doing is we created a tool that calculates all of this from inception of these pools down to the block by block level. This allows us to have like 100% accuracy data, and also to make sure it's the most efficient, essentially possible. So yeah, all the other aggregators currently, it's all manually done. So you have to, at the end of the day, find out what has the highest return, send your liquidity over there. But yeah, we automate the whole process for you. We reduce the fees. We reduce the technical know-how for users. Essentially, you don't really need to understand how DeFi works. We're going to sort that out for you, which I think is going to make it a very attractive product, not just for crypto users, but for your typical retail like mums and dads. But yeah, interestingly enough, the product itself was initially made for the employees of the firm. So we know for a fact other crypto enthusiasts want this product. We want this product. Other VCs we've talked to want this product. We've even had interest from different protocols asking if they can use our ML Oracle for their treasury as well, which will help free up some time for them as well. So yeah, there's a lot of interest for this product.
How do you vet for these pools?
Yeah, good question. So in terms of security, there's a lot that we think about. Um, Before we even look at the pools, we first look at the blockchain, um, how long it's been around, just the quality of projects, um, and then we go down to the protocol, and then after that we look at the pool. So there's different levels of security that we look at. In terms of the pool specifically, we look at how long has the pool been around for, the TVL in the pool, if it's a large amount of TVL, and then there's expected, it's expected to be safer. Not always the case because it could be fairly new, which is why we also have a time period to it. And then, yeah, how long has it been audited? Has there been any hacks? Um, but even on top of that, we had a meeting with the VC recently, and instead of just having a black and white, we're going to integrate this pool. What we are now developing is a different risk tier um, system, which will allow us to essentially allocate a smaller amount of the liquidity to a higher risk pool. Um, and yeah, that's just a safety mechanism to ensure if that pool is compromised, it's only going to be a small hit to the overall liquidity.
Is this like the first project that you are spearheading, or have you been part of any other projects? I know you mentioned that you come from a finance background, right? You work for a crypto firm.
Yeah, correct.
Is
Yeah, so yeah, in terms of developing a protocol, this is a first for me. But the other people on the team, we've got a couple of them. I mean, Greg has that successful machine learning business Percolator. Um, and then also we have other close team members who have created ML projects as well. So yeah, we got a very experienced team when it comes to this. Um, and then the team's background in terms of crypto is just, I don't know, off the roof essentially. There's a bunch of people that are on Twitter as anons that are part of the team, and then just having this connection due to working at this firm. Um, just helps with I don't know, interactions, introductions to other protocols, to other VCs and stuff like that.
So I imagine that you being a yield aggregator, you are running on smart contracts, right?
Yeah, correct.
What network are you utilizing for those smart contracts?
Yeah, good question. So The way our architecture works is similar to Stargates. Um, we have a main vault and then these what we call slave vaults, and the main vault pretty much is instructed by our ML, which is run off chain. Um, and then with that main vault, that directs all the slave vaults on where to allocate. So that main vault that will be run on Avalanche. We picked Avalanche because it's reliable, it's cheap, and it's fast. Um, so yeah, that was the reason. And then with the off-chain data as well, um, we were looking at having or running our ML algo on-chain, potentially with Starkware, but it's pretty much not ready in terms of running algos on-chain yet. It's going to be too expensive, too slow, which is why we're going to run it off-chain. And then use zero knowledge proofs to prove to the users that the strategy is in fact run from the algo and not from the team.
Just curious to know, like, have they been supportive? Like, how, like, have they been very communicative? Different networks are have a different culture,
Mm,
right? Like, I always hear a lot from like the Near Foundation and how supportive they are, and that they provide grants and things like that. So I was just curious for myself. I know one person from Avalanche, and he does the marketing for them. So I was just curious to know if you had an opinion about like your level of communication with them, or how supportive, how hands on they
yeah,
are, or hands off.
I mean, yeah, the a great team. I love what they're doing there, but essentially, I don't think because we're an omni-chain protocol and because we are on so many different chains, a lot of these different ecosystems don't they're not gonna like give you any grants or stuff like that. Um, but LayerZero, because we are an omni-chain protocol using LayerZero as um, our core strategy, they have been a massive help. Ryan and the team, they reviewed our architecture. They gave us a few tips and definitely have made us a better protocol, 100%. Um, they're extremely nice. They're extremely knowledgeable. And originally, we when we first started, we had a few other messaging layer um, networks that were trying to essentially pinch us and to build on their ecosystem. But I'm so happy that we stayed around with LayerZero because their help has been invaluable. Um, an interesting thing with what they do is instead of giving grants, they actually set up different meetings with you. So we'll have a meeting with them like every month, and they'll just see how you're going. If there's any way they can help, whether it's through networking, um, or yeah, just reviewing the code. So yeah, it's been amazing working with them.
What kind of a an advantage do you feel like your yield aggregator has because of you choosing to work with Layer Zero?
Yeah, well, it's massive. Um, this is actually a conversation I had with Ryan, and there's, I mean, personally, I don't think any other aggregator is going to have a chance if they're not using LayerZero. We're essentially going to have exposure to like minimum 7 chains at the beginning. Eventually, it's going to grow to like 15 or continue growing. While if you're just on the one chain, you're not going to get higher returns than us, essentially. There's no way around it. And because we have access to so many different chains, every protocol they have different incentive mechanisms. They go through different hype cycles, and we're able to capitalize on that. And once that cycle is done, we can shift over to the next place. And being on having so many different options, allows us to always have um, protocols that do give us these insane returns.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, from a user standpoint, it helps increase just the overall user experience, makes it more seamless, gives them more options to have higher yields because you have access to so many different chains. Is that
Yeah,
something?
correct. I mean, the main initially our main goal was just to free up time for us, and to do that, we looked at automation. Um, and then all these side products, because of the automation through AI, such as getting these higher returns, because it is more efficient. We did a test recently, and that was run over a month. Um, with that test, users just put the liquidity in the top four highest earning pools for the entire month. Um, and then we also ran our algo over that month, and we outperformed by 49%, which is just massive. You compound that over a full year, and you can see how much that can blow out. And that was an older version of our algo as well, and that was only run. I think it was every hour. But now, as I was saying, we're looking at data uh, by block to block basis. So we're currently doing our latest test, which should be complete in about 3 weeks. And yeah, we're just excited to see how much more is improved.
Very curious to know, like, as you're embarking on this journey and creating something that seems to be very, that has a lot of traction. I'm curious to know, like, what are you excited about this whole entire process, and like, what are you most concerned about? Like, is it the security and making sure that the security goes right? Is it that all the testing that you're doing, that it comes out to be accurate, right? Um, and I'm not saying that there should be a reason for concern, but I know, like, when you're giving so much effort into something, you want it to go right. Right. So, like, what are you most excited about? And what are some of the things that you are really putting a lot of emphasis on to make sure that you get right, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we're doing so many tests is we want it to be as secure as possible. The consequences are, if you get it wrong once, you could lose millions, you could lose a billion even. So we really want to make sure the product is sound before we do make it public. But in saying that, we have done a lot of testing for, I don't know, it's been like half a year now. We initially started like on a daily time frame, reduced it to an hourly, reduced it to 15, now to block by block. Um, so yeah, we just want to, yeah, just pretty excited to finally show everybody who's been around for so long what the product can do. And it's so important these days, as I was saying before, with the whole FTX situation and trust being compromised in crypto. Um, being able to provide a product that is verifiably proven to the users that it is governed by the AI with zero intervention from the team, something I'm very excited about, and something pretty much well definitely needed in the crypto industry.
You've had some traction, during this quote unquote bear market, with everything that's going on, and from a mainstream standpoint. You've mentioned to me a few times during our conversations that, you've been able to raise some funds. Like, what's that process been like for you? I mean, I'm sure it's not easy during these market conditions. Like, what are some how's that journey been for you? And then what are some tips that you can give to, other people that are in the same shoes trying to raise?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, raising has been pretty hard for us as well. Um, everybody loves what we're doing. They love the results that we're getting. And then we've been very close at closing rounds, our seed round, which we're currently doing now. And then like the FTX thing happened. And then pretty much half the VCs, they got other problems on their mind instead of investing in new protocols. So it's one step backwards there. What has been good though is recently we were accepted in the new chip accelerator program. We're also part of the Startup with Chainlink program as well. And then these programs, they introduce you to other VCs as well. I think the new chip one is introducing us to minimum 60 VCs. Um, and then they also do like additional training, so they make sure your pitch is correct. They give you different resources and stuff like that. So during these dark times, it is good having or knowing you can um, work closely with other experienced people who have done it before. So I do recommend checking out different accelerator programs. I know initially when I first started this project, I wasn't a big fan because in my eyes, I was like, oh, they're just gonna want to take a cut from us and provide, I don't know, not as much value as I thought they should. But I was pretty much proven wrong. They have been very supportive. Um, even the amount of discounts that you get from them, like being part of the new chip program, gave us $200,000 coupon to Google, which is great for us because that means we can have as many GPUs as possible to train our algos, so we can train it at a faster rate. Yeah.
Amazing. So it sounds like despite market conditions, you've had some success, and they say bear markets are for building, but that's not just from a technology standpoint, it's also from relationship standpoint. And sounds like you've made some good relationships during this time, and that there's a good chance that they'll pay off, right? Once the market conditions change. But speaking of market conditions, I guess like last topic that I'd like to cover is this whole FTX debacle, and how it seems like it's having a trickle down effect. I mean, we'll see how far it'll go, but now you're hearing about Genesis. I mean, have you been keeping up with all that? Like, what are your thoughts on everything that's transpired last few weeks?
I was initially. Now not so much. It's pretty much out of my control. I know the consequences of it are it's going to be harder to raise. The trust in crypto, the regulation as well is going to be a concern. Pretty much all eyes on crypto, and yeah, there's just going to be a lot more regulation going forward. I think this is going to be a problem for the next year, maybe even two. I mean, Sam was like the poster boy for crypto. He was supposed to instill trust and be the leader, and ended up being a fraud. Um, so yeah, it's going to take a long time to heal. But as you were saying before, the other protocols that we're in contact with, got different partnerships with, they're still innovating. Everybody is still innovating. The technology is still working. It was just the few bad actors that are just ruining it for everybody else. Um, but yeah, I mean, you look at the market, and I think we're down 75% from the top. So when people ask me like, are we near the bottom? Is it almost all over? When's the next bull market? I don't really like predicting, especially being a trader. I don't like predicting at all. I like to pretty much react. Um, so yeah, I got to ask myself the truths, the things that I do know. So I know we're 75% from the top with Bitcoin and ETH. I know we've been in a bear market for, I don't know, over a year now. So do I think that crypto is dead? Certainly not. Do I think we're closer to the bottom than the top? 100%. So it's just pretty much strategizing how you want to set yourself up for the next bull run.
If I wasn't in the line of work that I am, helping different projects on the security, talking to people like you, I probably would be thinking that crypto is dead. But when I talk to people like you and other projects that are still building, and not just building but building new things, and putting a lot of like creativity and imagination into the space, it really gives me hope. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing about the work that you're doing. It's amazing and it's exciting to, not just for Mosaic Finance, but in general, this whole entire crypto space. It's nice to see that the development is not slowing down. Everyone's still building and no one's losing any confidence. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that is definitely instilled with everybody we talk to. It's not really for money why we're creating this. We truly want to make a product that is useful for everybody, um, in a decentralized way, and just yeah, just pretty much just make the best product possible for our users.
Where can people follow along your journey?
Yeah, you can head over to the website. So that's mosaic.finance with a Z instead of an S. You can also reach out on our Twitter. We're active there. But yeah, I do recommend heading to our Discord. Um, we will be rewarding our community members with an NFT. There's only going to be 3,000 of them forever. And they will actually have utility in the Mosaic ecosystem. Um, and yeah, the whole strategy behind that is to integrate um, DeFi with NFTs and get the communities all working together. Um, but yeah, we post a bunch of um, unreleased resources in there as well. So if you want to see like our light paper, an in-depth review of these test results, feel free to join in the Discord and ask any of the mods, and we'll be sure to help you out.
Amazing. Yeah, and I'll include the links to in the description so that way people can follow along. Calum, thanks so much for coming on and sharing a little bit more about what you're working on. Sounds like it's pretty unique, and I'm excited to see how it all pans out for you.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.